Hello there. I'm usually the guy behind the camera or microphone interviewing somebody else about their achievements, and I want that to remain the focus of Space Plus. However, since I'm new to the space sector, please allow me to introduce myself. I'm neither a man of wealth nor taste, but here's the first thing you'll learn about me. I do love a good song reference. So anyway, let me tell you who on earth I am. Well, firstly, I'm a trained journalist and worked as a radio producer for a news and current affairs station in Cape Town for a few years. We covered everything from hyper-local news stories to global long-form features and anything listeners might have an opinion on, and they very often did. I got to chat to a huge cast of characters in this role, from David Attenborough to astronaut Don Thomas, actors like Morgan Freeman, and a string of politicians and sports people. I learned more about journalism in the 2 years of producing live radio than in the 4 years of my university degree studying it. I also learned to just pick up a phone and talk to people, a trait I know most millennials actively avoid. It was good training for that. Also, I had always wanted to do journalism, and I got to do it. My next adventure took me into the fintech startup world, and here I dabbled in a combination of customer service and branding, establishing a tone and voice for a new app that relied heavily on trust from the user. We married behavioral science and psychology with personal budgeting insights long before any others had thought to do so. I got a real taste of startup culture, figuring out my role as I went and working alongside extremely technical folk whose brains operated entirely differently to mine. When the itch to write more had to be scratched, I moved to a digital agency and became a content creator for their multiple clients. This entailed anything from starting up new social media channels and defining a strategy for them, to assisting with media training workshops and covering events. I wrote hundreds of blog posts, thousands of words of website copy, and probably tens of thousands of tweets. I also championed online video and filmed anything I could, from marketing material all the way up to documentaries. The topics often covered tourism, conservation, and human history, topics I still care a great deal about today. The Two Oceans Aquarium, Table Mountain Cableway, and Maripane remain some of my favorite visitor attractions in the world. In this role, I also had two very senior and extremely pedantic sub-editors comb over every inch of every word I ever published. Nothing made me question my own abilities like that experience, and nothing improved my writing more either. Moving to Edinburgh meant taking up a role in the third sector or charity sector, where once again I was wearing many hats. It was a varied job where I was running socials, upgrading the website, writing, filming, but now also assisting with traditional media relations, creating fundraising events, and digitizing internal processes. I even once gave a group of lifelong Edinburgh residents a guided tour of their own city, having only lived in it myself for a few months. I really enjoyed the challenge of breaking down barriers to something that was perceived as stuffy and boring and really only for the wealthy. We got young people to think about heritage, and our very first Black History Month event sold out in record time. Looking to pursue more communications work, I got into the Scottish Parliament and have been contributing to their digital presence ever since. We've upgraded the website, a truly mammoth task. We've created education materials around elections to encourage a better informed electorate, and we've embedded the principles of content design and accessibility into the organization's content output. It's a challenge to cut through the party politics and to explain why Parliament is not government, but it can be rewarding when people do get it. It was a revelation to me to discover that Scotland had a space sector. The exact details of how I found out escape me now, but the monthly Spacebar sessions hosted by Astra Agency were an early inroad for me. I kept hearing people say that the sector needed to break the bubble, talk to a wider audience, tell engaging stories about what's going on. Well, I've been doing some form of that throughout my career, so here I am to help tell those stories. I'm now doing so in the sector for clients, which is incredible, and I'm doing it here on Space Plus too. So far, the sector seems full of talented people doing interesting work. While there's lots of exciting progress around launch capability right now, there's also so much more going on from across the wide breadth of the industry. And yes, my technical knowledge may need some work, but I'm hoping I can still play a meaningful role in the sector and to help it reach new audiences. So, I'm Stuart. Pleased to meet you.